Goeiemôre graad 10's. Ons is vandag terug met Trig en vandag gaan ons Trig doen op 'n Kartesiese vlak. Good morning grade 10's. Today we are back with trigonometry and we are going to do a bit of trigonometry on a Cartesian plane. So kom ons gaan kyk gou na ons Kartesiese vlak soos wat julle hom ken. We've got an x-axis and we've got an y-axis. So what's very important now is when we do trigonometry on a Cartesian plane, we work in degrees. So ons gaan nou hier begin met 0 grade. 0 degrees is exactly the same as 360 degrees. Julle sal nou sien op. Ons beweeg op 'n Kartesiese vlak met Trig in 'n anti-kloksgewyse rigting. We move in an anti-clockwise direction. That's our positive movement. Ons beweeg in 'n anti-kloksgewyse rigting. Dis ons positiewe beweging. As jy gaan kyk na die hoekie wat hier gemaak word, van 0 grade tot daar, this is going to be 90 degrees, 90 grade. If you move from there to there, this is going to be 180 degrees. As jy van hier beweeg tot hier, 'n inspringende hoek van 270 grade, move from there to there, it's a reflex angle of 270 degrees, and if you move all the way around, it's a revolution, and you end up again at 360 degrees. Dis hoekom 0 grade en 360 grade presies op dieselfde plek is. Wanneer ons dan 'n driehoekie in een van hierdie kwadrante teken, dan kan hy so lyk. Let's draw a triangle in each quadrant. There's a 90-degree triangle in quadrant number 1. This guy we name theta. That's our angle. Dis die hoekie wat gevorm word wat tussen 0 en 90 grade lê. Dit is ook dan 'n skerp hoek. The angle that's been formed between 0 and 90 degrees, we name that an acute angle. But we can also have a triangle in this quadrant. So ons kan 'n driehoek ook in daardie kwadrant gaan teken. So, like that. And we can also draw a triangle in that quadrant and in that quadrant. Okay, this arm that's been drawn in over here is a radius. It's a radius, and we also name this arm as the terminal arm. Die terminale arm. Terminal arm. So, if you draw a circle, you can clearly see that that's going to be a radius. Dit gaan radiusse hierdie wees as ek driehoeke binne in my kwadrant teken. This is our origin, ons oorsprong, en ons oorsprong weet ons is ons standaard posisie. And the coordinate is the coordinate 0, 0. Ons koördinaat hier in die middel is 0, 0. Dit is ons standaard posisie. Dis waar ons passer sal indruk as ons 'n sirkel teken. Very important terminology. So now, to determine the length of R, kan ons Pythagoras gebruik. Ons weet om R te bepaal is R kwadraat, want hierdie is R gelyk aan x kwadraat plus y kwadraat. Dit is wat Pythagoras gesê het. Nie waar nie? Because this is a 90-degree triangle. And this is also the equation of a circle. Dis ook die vergelyking van 'n sirkel, maar dit gaan ons eers in graad 12 doen. Okay, if we further look at this situation, we must remember that the radius of this circle will be equal in length anyway. En dan gaan ons ook kyk na hierso is 'n koördinaat a coordinate with an x and a y value. As ons nou hierdie koördinaat kyk, dan kan ons die x waarde aflees van die koördinaat af, as well as the y value we can read from this coordinate. Onthou julle, ons het op die Kartesiesevlak in graad 9 en in graad 8 het ons koördinate gekry, altyd eers my x waarde and then thereafter my y value. And that is how we determine our r length by using Pythagoras. Okay, so let's quickly go to our trigonometry ratios. So as ons gaan kyk na ons trig, sin van theta, cos van theta en die tan van theta. Let's revise that quickly. Ons weet dat die sin van theta is oorstaande op skynsy. We know that, it's learning work. So let's name this opposite and adjacent now. Otherwise, there's theta. So ons gaan sê, oorstaande is nou my y-waarde. Opposite equals my y value because I read it from the y-axis. The adjacent will now equal my x value. So let's quickly rewrite sin theta in terms of x and y. As sin oorstaande op skynsy is dit nou nie meer o op r nie, of o op s nie, because the hypotenuse or the skynsy equals now r. So it's not opposite on the hypotenuse anymore, it's now y on r, but it's exactly the same thing. Opposite on hypotenuse is exactly the same thing. So kom ons gaan kyk na cos, dis nie meer a op s nie, dis nou x op r. A on s, the same thing. Tangent will be opposite on adjacent, so it's now going to be y on x. Y on x. That's the opposite on the adjacent, die oorstaande op die aangrensend. Graad 10, dis belangrik dat ons dit baie mooi moet verstaan. Dit is trig op 'n Kartesiese vlak. Now let's quickly have a look at the sin of theta. As ons gaan kyk na die eerste kwadrant, dan sien ons die driehoek lê waar y positief is. Hierso is y positief en hierso is x positief. On this side y is negative and on this side x is negative. Now let's quickly investigate. Kom ons gaan kyk na sin, cos en tan in elke kwadrant. Watter uitdrukking, sin, cos en tan, is hier positief? Nou, r is altyd positief. Remember, r is a distance, it can never ever be negative. So r will always be positive. Maar, x is positive in this quadrant and y is positive in that quadrant. So I've got a plus on a plus. So sin is going to be positive. Cos, x is plus, r is plus. Cos is ook positief. Tan, y is plus en x is plus. All is positive. So let's mark it as all is positive in the first quadrant. Let's go to the second quadrant. Let's see what's positive and what's negative in the second quadrant. Y on r. Y is positive, r is always positive. So, what's positive in this quadrant? Sin is positive in this quadrant. X is negative, r is positive. So, cos is going to be negative. Tangent, y is positief, maar x is negatief. So, a plus gedeel deur 'n minus is 'n minus. So, the only one that's positive in this quadrant is the sinus curve. Kom ons gaan na die derde kwadrant, tussen 180 en 270. Nou is x negatief en y is negatief, because I'm sitting here. Can you see it? So y is negative and r is positive. Negatief gedeeld deur 'n plus is 'n minus. We're not going to write it there. X is negative, r is positive. It's negative. Minus divided to plus gives me a negative. The tangent, we've got a negative y divided by a negative x. 'n minus gedeeld deur 'n minus is 'n plus. So tan is positief. Let's do the last quadrant. Y negative, x positive. Y negative, r is always positive. Negative divided by a positive gee vir my 'n negatief. X is nou positief. R is altyd positief. Plus gedeeld deur 'n plus is 'n plus, so kos is positief. Y equals negative. X equals positive. Minus divided by a plus gives me a negative. So cos is the only positive over there. If you read from there, in an anti-clockwise direction, you will read the word cost. So cost is from the fourth quadrant. We name this the fourth quadrant. Hierdie ouetjie is die eerste kwadrant. Second quadrant. En hierdie ouetjie is die derde kwadrant. So, wie is positief in die eerste kwadrant? Sin, kos en tan. Wie is positief in die tweede kwadrant? Net sin. In die derde kwadrant, only tangent. In the fourth quadrant, it's only cosinus that's positive. Now, if I ask you a question like this, I ask you a question like this. Where's sin theta greater than 0 and cos theta greater than 0? I ask you this question. Waar is sin en kos positief met ander woorde? Want graad 10's groter as beteken positief. Smaller than means negative, né? So let's quickly check. In what quadrant will sin be positive and cos be positive? If you go there, it's only sin, only tan, only cos. So watter kwadrant is al twee hierdie positief? Only one quadrant, the first quadrant. Let's change this guy to a smaller than and answer that question again. Waar is sin positief? Because that means positive. And that means negative. Waar is sin positief en kos negatief? The only place where the sinus is positive is in this quadrant and in that quadrant. But in what quadrant will cos be negative? In that quadrant, cos is positive, so it's not going to work there anymore. But in that quadrant, cos is now negative, so that's the one. And that's the homework that you're going to get for tomorrow. Exercise the homework. Make sure you understand your Trig Cartesian plane and go and study it thoroughly. See you tomorrow.